Fellas. The Suns went to Denver for Game 3 of the Western Conference semifinals, and TCO'd. They took care of business. Going into the Ball Arena where the Denver Nuggets played, on the night where Nikola Jokic won the MVP, they came out, shot over 70% in the first quarter, didn't relinquish the lead, and now, ladies and gentlemen, our Phoenix Suns are one game away from going once again to the Western Conference Finals. Welcome to the Suns Jam Session and Solar Panel Podcast. My name is John, a.k.a. Darth Voita, and I'm welcoming to the pod Matthew. How you doing tonight? That's a fantastic shirt you're wearing
good.
there.
Yeah, we're twinsies right here. Looks good, man. How you doing?
Twinning. Fantastic. 3-0.
My voice is a little deep. I have a sore throat, so my voice might sound a little deep and manly, so sorry, guys.
Oh, no. Hey, chilling with the fellas over here. Maybe we'll let you speak a little bit more. Just to test that throw.
Right.
Welcome to the show to Greg Esposito, looking ever so fly with those orange lenses.
Stat me, Lissy. Look, I'm thinking Western Conference Finals with the fellas. How about you?
You know what? I think we can arrange that. It's looking that way. Saul, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
One more, baby. One more. Let's go. Might as well sweep this team off the fucking floor. Let's go.
Well, it's plenty to talk about on this podcast. Do we want to sweep them? I don't know. We'll answer that question coming up and more. This reminder, if you are watching, to please hit the thumbs up button and make sure you subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening on the Bright Side of the Sun Podcast Network, please subscribe there as well. You can follow the show at Suns Jam and at Suns Solar Panel on Twitter. Is anybody going to be chugging with the fellas tonight?
I do have one, yeah.
I can't chug.
Okay.
But I did bring a beer.
All right,
okay.
Look it.
Just throw it over your shoulder.
Beer. So what is that? Is that a soul?
It is a soul. There we go, baby. A little soul chilada.
Loving the chilada. All right, and then Matthew's taking out the Invisalign, which
the
is the
Suns were
sexiest part.
spicy.
Ooh, so I see what you did there.
I got the Sun Brew. So
okay, and then what are you rocking, Espo? Is that a stevia?
It's a Zevia soda because
Careful,
I hate my stomach. So we'll do this.
All right, yeah, careful.
All right, well, everybody chugging with the fellas. Chug them if you got them. That's what men do. I'll wait for the ladies to finish up.
That's too much Clamato for me to
Yeah,
chug.
that is pretty crazy.
I'm not a chugging beer. Oh, there's that voice, Lissy.
Yeah. Don't
I
want to come.
I see they came back up into your throat.
Yeah. I sucked them right back up, man, where they belong.
Let's do this
Get
thing.
back. Well, let's crack them if you got them. Right, done drinking. It's Friday night. Suns just won up 3-0. Cheers, Suns fans.
I want to hear you scream. Mug the nugs, my mug the nugs. Hey. Mug the nugs, my mug the nugs. Yeah. Mug the nugs, my mug the nugs. Hey. Mug the nugs, my mug the nugs. Yeah. Mug the nugs, my mug the nugs. Hey. Mug the nugs, my mug the nugs. Yeah. Mug the nugs, my
I do not get tired of saying it, and mug them they did, winning by 14 points after winning by 25 points in Game 2, after winning by 17 points in Game 1. Is this even a series? Are we allowed to feel a little confident finally now, Espo? Do you give me the approval?
No, tonight was a disappointment. When you only win by 14 after you've won by 25 and 17, it's just you can feel confident. All right, there's knock on wood, touch metal, whatever you need to do before you say this, but they're up 3-0. We know what that means in an NBA series. All right, so I think you can feel comfortable in that, and then after they win that fourth game, we'll focus on that next series. But feel confident right now, Suns fans. You're in a good place.
I will say that, you're starting to see it in the chat a little bit, and people are like, well, who do we want to win the next series? Don't worry about it yet. Tesla's point.
Matter.
We'll talk about that later if and when we cross that bridge. You look at it, entering Game 3, teams that are up 2-0 in a series has happened 426 times. 399 times that team has won the series. There's been 142 times that a team has gone up 3-0. Those teams are 42-1 in those series. So I am liking our chances to move on.
42-1.
No one ever won, right? Someone came back, but lost game 7.
142-0.
Okay.
No team has ever come all the way back from 0-3. So, we do have a road ahead of us where, this team isn't dead yet. Game 4, we'll talk about it here in a little bit on what our expectations are and what we, no one wants to get embarrassed the way that we have embarrassed the Nuggets, because that's what's happened tonight. Right, Saul?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hey, this Suns team, I'm going to say it right now. This is the best team left in the NBA playoffs. And I don't mean most talented. I just mean the best team, chemistry-wise. And you saw that, especially with the starting 5. Everybody in the starting 5 had double-digit plus or minus, except for Chris Paul, ironically enough. Tonight was – Richard Jefferson pointed out several times, the ball movement was just so beautiful on so many different occasions. And tonight, more than the 2 games at home, I know they blew them out at home, but, home court advantage is a real thing. Tonight, I was like, yeah, this team's easily the best team on the floor. It's not even close. This should be a sweep. If it's not a sweep on Sunday, I will be disappointed.
And can we approve Richard Jefferson? I think he did a pretty good job, right?
Seriously.
I think he did a fantastic job tonight.
Matthew did not with the controversial comment right out the gates.
We just always trash these guys. I don't know why.
When a guy says, if you don't get technicals, you're not the MVP. I don't even know what the hell that means.
Yeah,
so,
what does that mean?
Richard Jefferson's a fellow Wildcat, and even I'm going, all right, look, I can deal with Walton, but I don't know what the hell that was, all right? That was out there. He had a few of those tonight that I'm like, Richard, slow your roll. It's not a summer league broadcast, all right?
Exactly, but I was going to say, just really quick on the Suns, it was really great tonight because they had the big 3 actually step up. The stats that DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul had going to the fourth quarter were full game stats for them normally. 26 points for Booker. CP3 had 16 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, and then Ayton had the 15 rebounds by the fourth quarter. Those are stats he's had for full games. They just came out in the third quarter again. They're doing this over and over again, just taking these teams out in the third quarter, whether or not it's at the beginning of the third quarter or at the end of the third quarter. And you can see the Denver Nuggets just lose hope right then and there.
And that was the vital part of the game again, was that third quarter for the Phoenix Suns. They entered up only 4 after really owning and dominating the first half. You saw how Chris Paul was strategically trying to slow the pace of Denver in the second quarter. The crowd was starting to get into it. They were starting to make a little run. He was starting to draw fouls, get to the line. And, credit to Jokic, he did the same thing. He ended with 4 free throws at the, to finish the first half. Denver Nuggets ended on a 19-10 run to close it to 4 points. And then the third quarter happens, and they win that quarter by scoring 31 points to Denver's 21 points. This series, they are a plus 29 in the third quarter. So whatever adjustments are being made at halftime by Monty Williams have been successful. And the primary adjustment that I saw once again in this mirrored game 1 was Michael Porter Jr. is not a very good defender, especially a hampered Michael Porter Jr. So Mikal Bridges, he's guarding you. Sit there and just do the pump fakes. Michael Porter Jr. is flying by you every time, and just take it to the rim and see what happens. That's exactly how the Suns started. They started on a 10-3 run to open the third, with 5 of those points coming from Mikal Bridges. Richard Jefferson, and this is kind of where I'll go against what Matthew said. He's like, well, he's an up and coming defender. He's somebody who's has the potential to be a good defender. Maybe that's true, but and again, I understand that he's hampered. But he truly has been, outside of Austin Rivers, a weakness for this Denver team this entire series. At what point do you think Michael Malone is just going to roll the dice and have him come in off the second team? I mean, he was entering this game like a -26.
He's their best shot to win a game. You need him to be hot. And he just has not gotten hot, period. So I understand where Michael Malone's coming from when MPJ's out there. If MPJ doesn't drop 30, they're not winning a game in the series. And you need him to drop 30. And too bad he's hampered, so you don't get that full stretch. And honestly, I just want to say, I'm thankful that Jokic coming down on his ankle wasn't as bad as it maybe looked, because I don't want to see somebody get hurt. I want to beat them at least whoever's on the court at their peak. And so I'm glad that didn't happen. MPJ needs to play out of his mind for them to win a game in the series. So I get it.
Yeah, look, if Malone hasn't done it yet, he's not doing it now. I mean, there's no point in it now because you need him, like Saul's saying, to catch lightning in a bottle to help you win a game in this series. So I don't foresee that change. One thing I loved tonight was Devin Booker took it to Aaron Gordon. Like he did not seem phased that he had a bigger guy defending him. He just, I'm going to take it to you. And I loved that tonight. It was just aggressive from word one from Devin Booker. He didn't have to go full Armani mode. He gave us a little taste of it, but it was enough to keep Denver honest on him. And he had some moves that were straight Kobe. Like they were carbon copies of things that Kobe did, the way Kobe would do carbon copy things that Jordan did. It is unbelievable to watch this kid when he's locked in like this. And he still is a kid. That's the greatest part. He's still only 24. We got the best basketball still ahead for him.
Yeah, he's absolutely like there's times in this game where he had second chance opportunities to shoot the ball and he did. Like I feel like in the past he would maybe pass those up, but like one example was a fast break where he shot the three early in the game, got the rebound again and shot it back up, nothing but net. That just showed the rest of the game his confidence he was going to have in his shot. And I love that because everyone was waiting for the Devin Booker game, and this was it. This was a game. It wasn't the 40-point game, but he was trying to find a shot, and he was very confident in his offensive game tonight. And this was, I think, the game that we were waiting for, right?
Well, I think.
Go ahead.
I think that game's Sunday. I think he's going to
another level
out.
Nice.
He's going to knock him out on Sunday.
I think he just set the tone, and that's the great thing about Devin. The way he started off tonight is that he set the tone. He was like, "Yeah, these dudes ain't beating us tonight. Period. Like we all better become with it." And honestly, like that's one of the things we were talking about before the playoffs started. Is like I wanted to see Devin Booker in the playoffs, and I'm sorry, I don't give a shit about the regular season. I don't care about the bubble. I don't care about all these other things. The playoffs. And Devin's look in his eyes during these playoffs, that is exactly what reminds me of Kobe. Just the way he's carrying himself, the way he's running around that court, the way he's just not really giving a shit about anybody. That is exactly the Armani mode we have all been kind of talking about, and we've been waiting to see. And now we're seeing it come to fruition. This might be the first time in really the totality of Devin Booker's career where I've seen him and I'm like, dude, that dude might be stupid good when it's all said and done. Because it's brilliant to watch right now.
That look he has even post game, where even in between games, where he's not being too cocky. I mean, he never is, but even the whole team, they just keep a straight face. They know there's more games.
Business-like.
It's just that's the best part of it to me, because I don't like it when anyone's saying like, yeah, we're gonna go in the next game, like and just kind of joke around or say like they're gonna win the series, kind of get a little bit cocky. He's not that way, so it keeps me at ease knowing that like they're gonna pay attention to each game just like it's must win.
And it's. Go ahead, Espo.
I was just gonna say Booker's the guy that will come in for the hug and then stab you in the gut. That's the look he has. It's like I don't care. Like that's I'm here. I'm here to accomplish I'm here to accomplish one thing. And if you're standing in that path, good luck to you.
Note to self: don't hug Espo. Don't hug her.
For numerous
or Devin Booker. You might get stabbed. He's cold-blooded. I mean, that's what it comes down to. The look on his face, the way that he plays. I think it's ironic that in the last podcast, it took us until 45 minutes into it to mention his name, and that's what we're leading off with because of the way that he came out on the road and set the tone, as Saul said. The ability to set the tone for Devin Booker was absolutely paramount, and seeing him do it consistently on the road. He's averaging 28 points a game now on the road in the playoffs, and he gets the majority of that. He had 11 in the first quarter, so seeing him do it in such a manner is just it's exactly what you want to see from him. And as we welcome Dave King to the podcast, welcome Dave. We're talking about Devin Booker.
Hey guys. Did Devin Booker play tonight?
Yeah, a little bit.
I was just wondering what was going on. I just stopped by to see if anybody was in the chat room,
Yeah. Well, you've come to the right place. This is
Are you sure
place.
You're in the right chat room, Dave?
Yeah.
He's looking for that Stat Me Dave chat room.
Stab me, Dave.
But the difference between Devin Booker and some of the other young stars that you're seeing right now, you look at the Trae Youngs, you look at the Donovan Mitchells, they carry themselves in a completely different way. They're doing the fist pumping, they're playing to the crowd. And, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's just not who Devin Booker is or has ever been. And I have more confidence with him as my 2 guard than I would with those other guys because, again, guys who typically wear their emotions on their sleeve consistently, it can go both ways when they hit adversity. The one thing the Suns haven't hit too much of, they have hit some in this playoffs, but they haven't hit too much adversity, especially in this Western Conference semifinals. I mean, winning by an average of whatever that average is, it's not something that's going to really, push you up against the wall so you have to see what you're made of. The Lakers series did that. You went against the number 1 defense in the league. You were down 2-1. You fought back and won the series. And now they're on a 6-game win streak, ladies and gentlemen, and 1 game away from the Western Conference Finals.
Hey, stat me.
Oh, hold on. Let me get you some stats.
Oh, yeah.
Stat me.
You got to be ready for Dave to stat you because it comes quick.
It can happen at any time from any side, all right?
Any position, huh?
Oh,
Lissy,
man. Check it out, Lissy.
I always go too far.
Go to your room.
He's in his room.
I don't have a room.
I'm doing this just from memory because I haven't been able to look up all the stats tonight. But this is definitely the longest winning streak for the Suns in their franchise history in the playoffs. No Suns team has won more than 6 straight games in the playoffs.
Look
I have
at
been
that.
statted. Oh, my God.
Oh,
That's
Dave.
fantastic.
You're talking the Barkley years. You're talking the Chambers years, the KJ years, the Nash years, the last, obviously the 7 seconds or less, but no, they never won 6 straight games.
Wow. That's nasty, Dave. Nasty.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
That's
That's
it.
impressive. And to
That's all I
think,
got.
this is also their 3rd 6-game winning streak of the season. If they close out the Denver Nuggets on Sunday, they will tie their regular season streak of 7 consecutive games, which they put together in, I believe, March and April this year. So, I mean, what a time to do it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, hit your stride right now. One thing I loved about tonight is it was Devin Booker started it. CP3 helped finish it. And it just felt like, hey, you know what? We got these 2 guys, and neither of them can take care of you at any point. So good luck with that, Denver.
Well, and DeAndre Ayton rebounded it all the way through that game. And look, Nikola Jokic, 30 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists.
Jeez.
He was the MVP tonight, but he was tired in the second half. And the Suns were the ones who were supposed to be tired in the altitude. Nikola Jokic was tired in that second half because DeAndre Ayton did not back down once. And all those shots he made, those were Jokic shots. Those were MVP shots. It's okay. But he needed 30 shots to get that. Or 28 shots to get those 30. Yeah, that's crazy.
And they weren't easy shots. You know what I mean? Like
that's what I mean. He was doing
Jokic shots. Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously those rebounds. I mean, Jokic with his long wingspan, he's able to tap the ball to himself like 89,000 times.
He's a rolling pin in there.
Absolutely. But 13 for 29. You know what I mean? Like, before the game, if you said he went 13 for 29, he had 30, 20 and 10, you're like, oh, they probably lose that game because of the way DA is playing against him. He's making him work for every single thing he gets. And I will credit the refs. The refs are not falling for the flops, and DA, to his credit, hands up almost every single time that Jokic tries to go to the hole. And even on the one that Jokic wanted to call got the tee on, dude, Richard Jefferson called it. He's like, dude, that's not a foul. Like, he ran into him and flopped. Like, hands are straight up. He's moving in his body. Like, it was perfect. That's what I was going to say something about RJ. Here we go.
No,
can we just rest in peace, Aaron Gordon?
Yeah.
That dude.
2 for 10 for 4 points tonight.
The worst playoffs of any midseason acquisition I think I can remember. That is just so bad. They tried to make him the second or third option scoring tonight, and he failed so bad. Monty Morris, good game. But they wanted Aaron Gordon to be that guy, and Aaron Gordon is not that guy.
That's what you see a lot with these mid-season acquisitions where they come through and you think they're going to make a difference in the playoffs, whatever the team's trying to do in the future. It just never really works out, right?
Easy there. Easy there, Torrey Craig. Easy there.
Yeah.
Torrey Craig was a mid-season hype.
That's what he said.
That wasn't an acquisition. That was like a mid-season. Hey, you know what?
No, Torrey Craig ended the night with 5 points on 14 minutes. He's serving his role appropriately. Aaron Gordon was brought in. Yeah, cash considerations.
There you go. Yeah.
R.I.P. brother.
But Aaron Gordon was brought in to be that tertiary scorer for this team behind, in theory, Jamal Murray and
stopper.
Yes, and a body who can deter the opposition, and he hasn't delivered in the manner in which he's supposed to. And that's, you can go up and down the Denver lineup and say the same thing. Again, as Dave said, kudos to Monty Morris and Will Barton. They had an effect. They had 35 combined points off of the bench. And that was one of my keys to the game coming into this is, know that their bench is going to have a boost. Just like when we're at home and you have Campaign and Torrey Craig throwing up lobs to each other and the crowd getting behind it. Those are the guys who are designed to try to sustain the runs. And if you can do that, you're going to win the game because you have constant offense going. You have the crowd constantly engaged. But in this game, even though they were doing that, their starters weren't holding up their end of it. And any time in this game, I felt like Denver was trying to make a run and the crowd was starting to get behind it. And real quick, kudos to all you Suns fans who were there in Denver. I saw some of the tweets from Cody Cunningham and Vince Morata.
I heard the cheers on
you
TNT.
can hear the cheers.
You can hear the cheers.
You can hear them early, man.
So they showed up and showed out for this Suns team. It wasn't anything like what it was here in Phoenix. But when Chris Paul is out there just stopping those runs.
Did that kid make the trip? Did he take his shirt off?
I don't know.
He needs to be on that private jet with Booker and CP3.
Can you imagine?
A young Robert Sarver, right? Shirtless on a jet.
Sitting with the chain. Yes.
Somebody photoshopped.
Somebody has to do that. Kid. Dude, somebody has to do that kid's head on the Robert Sarver
It's
picture.
Been done. It's been done. I think I've seen it.
So
but Chris Paul was vital in stopping all of those runs. Every time they tried to make a little run, Chris Paul would just go down and hit a quick mid-range shot or facilitate a play. Yes, he is a killer. And what he did tonight, if you look at his final stat line, he had 27 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, had 2 turnovers. So he was really out of control tonight. But 7 for 7 from the free throw line to lead the Phoenix Suns, who, by the way, were 18 of 20 from the free throw line, as compared to 10 for 16 for the Denver Nuggets. So we got to the line 4 more times than they did, but we shot a lot better, and that's the advantage of the Suns in the playoffs. And we said this all season long. The problem with the Suns wouldn't be how we performed when we got to the free throw line. It was, would we have the capacity to get to the free throw line, because we're the second best team in the NBA shooting from the free throw line behind the Los Angeles Clippers. So seeing them get to the free throw line, seeing them execute on that end throughout this entire series has been nothing but beneficial. But yeah, Aaron Gordon, the starters overall. Look at this stat. Here's another little stat for you. The backcourt, okay? The Suns outscored Denver's backcourt 55-11. You had Facundo, Campazzo, and Austin Rivers combined for 11 points tonight. You throw in Aaron Gordon having 4 points. The Suns, conversely, have everybody in double figures who are starting once again, and the majority of them all had 5 points by midway through the second quarter. It's just we're a more balanced attack. We move the ball better. This team without Jamal Murray can't run their high pick and roll, which, imagine us being without one of our high pick and roll guys between Ayton and CP3. That's the basis of our offense. From there, so much can happen. Back screens, corner 3-point shooters, elbow 3-point shooters, cuts by Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder. Everything is predicated on our pick and roll, as it is for Denver. They just, without Jamal Murray, they're just a completely different team. There's no back screens for Nikola Jokic to hit. They're all just standing around watching him. And, the poor guy, I won't say poor guy because we're beneficial, but he won the MVP this year, but he's not going to advance to the Western Conference Finals.
Okay, I felt bad for Jokic a little bit. I for some reason I do that a lot with these players. for the Denver Nuggets. But Jokic is I'm a big fan of his, but the look on his face, how much he gave tonight, and just because of the MVP thing, and he almost cried. I think his two brothers came on the court too. They're like the same size as him. I don't know. I just feel bad for the dude, but our bench, they're just killers, dude. When Campaign comes in there, dude, he's just looking for blood. He'll come in and just make sure that the job is done quick. And he'll just make sure that he gets his teammates involved too. And him getting to the rim tonight too was unstoppable again. And that's just one thing that teams can't stop. Whenever he comes in the game, man, no one can stop Campaign. And that's quite the weapon that the Suns have.
You know, what's so funny is you look at this team and you look at the stats, and this team is the ultimate, like, I'm going to fool you stat-wise team. Because if you look at the stats, especially with the bench, you would think, oh man, they must have gotten just railed when they were on the court. But the intangibles, the small little things that they provide to keep you in the game. You know, Cam Johnson, you know, on the stat minus, he's a -1 and he only had 3 points, but he did so many small little things out there on the court that made such a big difference. And that's what this whole team does. You know, when there's a run, you know, CP3 is just so brilliant at reaching up from behind you and grabbing that ball. And then all of a sudden they're on a fast break the other way. And it's just the intangibles with this team are probably some of the best I've seen in quite a while.
Well,
just the small little details.
Willing, yes, they're all willing to do the little things.
Yeah.
Ayton has he's setting picks like crazy. He's obviously getting the rebounds like crazy. He's the former #1 overall pick, and he's okay just getting garbage points and just grabbing all the rebounds and playing defense against the MVP. Cam Johnson took one shot tonight. Somebody said in the chat that he is terrible. Well, no, he was pretty incredible defensively. Mikal Bridges didn't make all of his threes, but he was incredible defensively. And you know what? Mikal Bridges in the beginning of the third quarter, he was aggressive. He put Denver on their heels coming out of that halftime because he was aggressive after their closeouts for three. No, these guys, they all play their role, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get this, to get the win, to get the scoring, and to make their team better. They don't have to get the points. They get other players to get the points. I watch these other NBA playoff games, you know, and they're one pass, two pass shot, one pass shot, no pass shot. Suns 5-6 passes, all perfect passes to get paint to great, and they're just awesome.
Look, this
all right. DeAndre Ayton's coming in. I'm going to slip out here. I'll come back.
Oh, when you come back, we'll do
all
Ayton
right.
watch.
Yeah. So
he just slipped out. Giggity.
Slipped out. This is the most complete Suns team we have ever seen. And I feel 100% confident in saying that. In every facet of the game, when you look at this, they are good at it. Free throw shooting, rebounding, defense, the offense, and the movement, a clutch play. This is the most complete Suns team we have ever witnessed, and that's what makes this so exciting. We've seen teams here before, and elements of them carry them far in the playoffs because they're superior at one or two things. This team is great at so many facets of the game.
And it's weird to think that we just won 19 games 2 seasons ago. Like, how did we get here to this point? I mean, it's just I'm
Igor Kokoshkov.
Sorry. I didn't understand you, just like none of the players understood him. I really, Pro Baller says,
Devin
championship.
Booker is our best player, and we got to build around them.
It sounds like Saul has that European variant right now.
The European variant.
Yeah.
But it really is, again, understand where I'm coming from on this. We're up 3-0 now in the Western Conference semifinals against a team that went to the Western Conference finals last year, again, without Jamal Murray. And I understand that, but you have to play the team that's in front of you. It's so funny how many Lakers people still kind of come at me on Twitter to just like, let me know. I had somebody tell me the other day, it's like, if we had the same team we had last year, we would have beat the Suns this year. I'm like, yeah, and if you played the 93 Bulls, you would have lost to them. Like, what are we playing? Like, a video game right now? Like, who gives a shit? Like, just, and go away now, And it's just, everything that's kind of happening with this team is just so much fun, and it's so refreshing because we saw this all season. This team is what they're doing right now. It doesn't surprise me at all. This is the team I saw play all season. The first 16 games were the fill it out. Let's find out how to get our spacing. Let's try to work on that pick and roll. work on Ayton. And they went 8-8. And then after that, they just exploded. I think they went like 39-10 in their next 46 games because they figured out who they were and how to execute on offense and defense. And to Espo's point, on defense, that's what makes this team spectacular. When you start to try to put a run on them, we're going to stop you because we can play defense and we can go the other way. Real quick, I just want to give a shout out to his dudeness. Nothing really to say, but go Suns for donating $5 in the super chat. We appreciate it. And we also have Monty saying, is it just me or when the State Farm commercial comes on, I think that's my point guard. I say that out loud to my wife. I'm like, that's my point guard. And she's like, what are you talking about, you crazy bastard?
Thank you, Monty Morris, for donating from the Denver locker room. We appreciate it. He has been your point guard on the court, too. So.
Absolutely stellar play by him. You know what? I somebody said it in the chat, and you know what? I'm not a coward.
The Saric smoke break.
You know, Dario Saric, 10 minutes, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, an and 1. Just another productive game from Dario Saric. So we will give him 3 minutes to talk about his spectacularness. And I'm going to let Matthew lead this one because he is the biggest Saric fan. He's got his jersey hanging up behind him, even though it's a faux jersey.
With the authentic lettering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hand stitched there.
It is double stitch.
Get his soul. Keep drinking that soul.
Soul
drinking the soul. I love it.
He had the best play of the night, dude. When he saved that ball from going out of bounds, got back, got the rebound, but he had the hardest time trying to get the ball, and he sits on the ball, almost pops the ball, gets it, and gets it back to his Suns player. Like, that is just Saric. That's him. That is why I love him playing the minutes he's playing right now.
On his ass.
He finds a way to make the play of the game. Whether or not he means to do it, he's out there trying his hardest, and that was one of the best
play
plays.
of the game.
That was play of the game. Sit on the ball, rebound.
Stumble over it, get your badunkadunk in the way.
Yeah, when you're playing a game in the playoffs right now, this didn't even seem like a playoff game tonight, really. I mean, it seemed like a regular season game, right? The way the fans were and all that, and the Suns, they just handled it like a regular season game. You look for those fun plays, and he always provides them.
Look, if that were the play of the game, this is more like a preseason game than a regular season game. Right? Look, I feel like I got a buddy in prison because I got to bring another pack of smokes over to Dario and give it to him, and he can exchange it for whatever he needs. But I gotta give it up to him again. My mea culpa continues as Dario Saric has been pretty useful. I'm not gonna go good. I'm not gonna go great. He's been pretty useful in this series, and we appreciate it.
I want to know what version of ESPN are you watching? The overhead cam, the Saric cam? Like, there must be a Saric cam out there that gives you everything you want and more.
It's very poorly lit.
I am not seeing that at all.
Well, I got to say, with all those cigarettes that Espo's, walking down to prison given to him, he's actually got this little pickaxe now, and I hear that he's working on a way to get out, and he's going to go through about 1.5 miles of shit to get out to the other side, and then shirtless Dario's just going to be standing there with an NBA championship trophy, and we're all going to have to be appreciative. Shout out to Glenn Brown in the chat. It's his birthday. The Suns won. He's happy, and he gave us $10. So happy birthday to Glenn Brown, and I'm glad the Suns could win for you on your birthday. That's absolutely...
If Saric is Andy Dufresne in this scenario, then who is Red?
Matthew. Oh, dude, it's Matthew.
He's waiting on the beach.
I just missed my friend.
The poster he's hiding the hole in the wall with is Sarver in a bikini. It's all very PC here.
Oh, get busy living or get busy dying. You goddamn right. Dario Saric, another solid performance for the Phoenix Suns this evening. Jay Crowder, I just wanted to mention him real quick. 34 minutes is 5 for 9 field goals, 14 points. Jay Crowder, ever since those first 2.5 games against the Lakers, has been fantastic for this team. He's the guy who everybody was, murdering in our chat during the podcast, murdering on social media. Jay continues to just get it done. And I love it now because my wife is watching the games and she's like, Clam Crowder. And I haven't even heard that nickname. Did that exist before my wife or did she make that up?
What the hell is that?
It's like Clam Chowder, but
how far did she get with her education? When did she graduate, John?
It's probably
Your wife.
That's your sister, dude.
Yeah, I know.
She has a
I know.
master's
I
in
took her to lunch
accounting.
today for her birthday. So
She's smarter
that's
than
fine.
all of us.
I forgot
Yes, she
about
is.
that.
Look, Spicy J, baby. He hit
Yes.
that corner three, and he turns and he stares at the Denver crowd like, yeah, this is over. I just loved it. He has such an attitude to him, an edge. He's everything we used to hate about those teams that would kick the Suns in the teeth, and now they got a guy like that, and I love it. It's great.
Well, here's a question. Oh, go
I was
ahead,
going to say
Matthew.
really quick, the box score for him, I wish they would take away the field goal attempts.
Yeah.
It should just be 3-point field goal attempts, because that's all he shoots. So just take that away.
He did hit a layup.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes, one extra shot.
Never mind.
But-
Sorry, guys.
So here's a question, and I don't know if we've all had this discussion together, but as we look at this team, who does this team remind you of the most looking back? I mean, we've heard some people talk about the 2010 team. We've heard some people talk about different iterations of teams that have gone far throughout the NBA history. Who does this team remind you of?
I think they closely resemble the Detroit Pistons that won the NBA Finals against the Lakers,
Like the 04 team with Ben Wallace,
yeah,
and
the
Rasheed
04
Wallace,
yeah.
Rip
They
Hamilton,
don't have
Tayshaun Prince.
they don't have those figures, right? Those larger than life figures. But Chris Paul and Devin Booker are pretty close. They're just not as demonstrative as those guys are. But as a team, that team played together on both ends of the court just beautifully. And I think this Suns team is very similar to that team on both ends of the court. They have great chemistry. They communicate. They love each other. It's just it's fun to watch.
I think there's just too much offense for them to be compared to those Detroit teams. I mean, if you go back, I mean, those were just slugfests. Those weren't pretty offensive games. I think this is probably some of those early 2000s Spurs.
I think if those Pistons played these Denver Nuggets, they would score just as well because these Denver Nuggets suck.
Yeah, but the Suns scored a lot against the Lakers.
He said it right here.
The Nuggets without Murray were still 10th in the league in defense, though. So, I mean, they were pretty good.
Have you seen that in this series?
No, the Suns are so good. The Suns were number 1 in the league in offense during that same time period. So, no, I think you're right, Saul, on the Detroit Pistons similarities for sure. As far as they don't have the MVP level caliber player, they do have a certain Hall of Famer in Chris Paul, but they just don't. They don't profile like a juggernaut. And Detroit did it. Came in that one year, nobody expected them to make the finals, and they made and they won it by being a team. But this Suns team is so much prettier to look at than that Detroit team. Did anybody watch that finals, Detroit against the Spurs? I mean, it was just awful. I think the games were in the 70s. It was just bad. So I'm really excited that this is the offensive version of that Detroit Pistons feeling. Hey, I just got DeAndre Ayton talked, and he uses his.
Hold up.
Wait.
Ayton Watch 2021.
Breaking news from Dave King. DeAndre Ayton talked. What did he say?
He sat down, and they give the guys a stat sheet when they first sit down, and the whole time Dwayne Rankin is asking him the first question, his eyes are big as silver dollars looking at the stat sheet, and Dwayne was in the middle of his question, so he just asked about the game, and then Gina Mizell followed up and said, "What had your eyes bugging out there?" He's like, "Nikola Jokic had 20 rebounds and 10 assists. I thought I was doing well."
Oh, that's funny.
But he's so humble. He's like, I tried. I did my best. But he did do his best. And then Chris Paul came on right after DA. And Chris Paul said, look, guys, DA is the guy who does everything the stat sheet doesn't show. So does Mikal. But, I mean, they want to give a lot of props to DA because DA is the one who went against Nikola Jokic in this series. I'm talking like the series is over. It pretty much is. But we went against Nikola Jokic, and he's coming out on top, and he's doing everything the stat sheet doesn't show. Playing, like Chris Paul said, all those daggers he hit in the second half, all those middies, all those short range. That's because DA drew the defense with him, and Chris Paul knew that DA was going to rolled hard, And if the defense stayed with Chris Paul, he would have dished it to DA. That's just the way the game went. And so those guys decided they weren't going to let DA score, and so he got his 10 points. If the guys decided they weren't going to let Chris Paul score, DA would have had 20. So Chris Paul said, look, man, you guys, nobody understands how much sacrifice and how selfless, how unselfish DeAndre Ayton is. And it's just incredible when you think about the fact that he was a number 1 pick.
But I think that's this team in general, though, is there's a lot of selflessness in this group. That's why you see the extra pass made to find the wide open guy when you have a good shot, but you got the great one, the great shot on the next pass. I mean, they make it happen all the time. That's why I think this is special, and that's why some of the people on the inside I've talked to think this is special. This is just an interesting mix of guys that genuinely seem to be enjoying this. You know, that's not always the case either. This is real chemistry. This isn't the forced talking point that is chemistry. This is actually happening on the court, and that's what we're seeing in these last 6 games. Is it's clicked. Everything is clicked, and it's what Monty Williams, I think, envisioned from day one, his offense looking like, and the effort on defense. And I think that my favorite play of the night was DA standing straight up, and I think it was Aaron Gordon runs right into him and falls over. Like, it was like the epitome of Denver has hit this brick wall that is this Phoenix team that has figured it out right now, and it's a beautiful thing to watch.
Gordon hit DeAndre like a ton of bricks.
Can we put
right.
Saul in purgatory?
Bye, guys. See you. That's all for me tonight.
Hey, man. I was serious. I was like, see you later.
Well, real quick on that point, and maybe you guys can help me because I forgot where I saw this, but I was watching something or listening to something where they were talking about the chemistry of previous Suns teams and how when you go back to like the 92-93 team, although that team was very good, Kevin Johnson was a loner. And he's somebody who would go home and, right after the games, didn't hang out with the team and didn't really have that camaraderie. And the 2010 squad, how Channing Frye was kind of the guy that everybody kind of flocked to. He was just kind of the glue guy for the team. And then the next year they traded him. And how, the chemistry of a team is so important. And when you look at this team, when they're going over to Chris Paul's house, to watch play-in games and to see who the next matchup might be for him. And, there's true camaraderie with this team. You see it up and down. The campaign, I honestly think Mikal Bridges is such an important piece of this team. It's almost unquantifiable because everybody, from what I've heard, loves Mikal Bridges. He's funny. Mm-hmm. He's just a consummate, perfect glue guy. I wrote a piece on it a year ago about his value as a glue guy. And that's exactly what he does this team. Everybody kind of bonds with Mikal Bridges. And I think that, you look at their performance on the court, and he kind of plays that role on the court as well.
Yeah, I agree there. And then the thing, I think a big thing that speaks to chemistry too is, do we remember Jay Crowder going at Devin Booker after that 70-point game? Like he went at him like talking crap and basically disrespecting him. And they're best buds now. Like, I mean, you can overcome pretty much anything when you got a good group of guys working together. And there's none of that. Oh, this should be my team. There's none of this. It could have easily happened with Chris Paul and Devin Booker, right? 2 alphas, 2 guys that like the ball in their hands, 2 guys that can score at will from the mid range and just are leaders, right? And they've figured it out. They have figured out how to coexist on the court together. And I think that probably set the tone for a lot of other guys where they go, if these 2 guys can figure it out, I damn well better be able to fall in line because I'm not the star here and I can figure it out. And DeAndre Ayton's willingness to just do whatever he's asked and go out there and play the way he has as well. It's just something special. I can't say that enough. This team is special, and again, unlike I think anything we've quite seen in Phoenix before.
Well, and you mentioned, again, DeAndre Ayton being somebody who is the number 1 pick, in the draft. And so many guys, when they're the number 1 pick, there's a certain level of expectations come from them and the organization, relative to you are the guy. Look at Anthony Edwards. I mean, that guy shot like 30 attempts a game, and DA's humble. He's, he comes back. He's willing to learn. He's willing to absorb. Brendan Clean wrote a great piece for BrightsideOfTheSun.com today, talking about how he
BrightsideOfTheSun.com.
and he
best
just
place in the internets.
We put out so much content. It's fantastic.
It's crazy and great stuff.
It's really good stuff. Oh no, Espo. The piece was talking about how we shouldn't be surprised.
You got to remove him from the stream.
I love you guys. You do great work.
Well, real quick, I'll tell you somebody I love is Damasked One in the chat. He said, shout out to you guys for just being great fans and making the ride a little funner. And I think that's one thing that I truly appreciate is not only the fact that we have the Jamsters and the Flaming Ballers who join us after every game and have all season long, but that we get to do this together and we get to, enjoy this ride together. We're going to look back on this just like we look back on the 2010 team, the 7 seconds or less era. And, before Matthew was watching basketball, the 92-93 team. And, these are memories that are going to last forever. You're going to remember where you were for every game. That's just the way it goes right now. And the fact that you guys are taking the time after the game to spend with us, if you're watching live or if you're listening to us the following day and you want to catch up, it's part of the experience. It's so much fun. So again, thank you to The Real One for donating $25 in the chat.
You mean like Sunday when we're at I want to say
Twin
Peaks.
Four
Peaks.
I always
I want to go to Twin Peaks.
Two aren't good enough. We need 4 peaks, gentlemen. Right?
Yeah.
Well, 4 Peaks on
Twice as good as
Sunday,
Is
5
everyone
p.m.
going, baby, for the sweep?
Yeah, is everybody who's not going?
Is everyone going?
I'll be there.
Is anyone here
awesome.
not going?
I'm not going.
Oh,
Of course he's not.
I really wanted you to meet my mom.
Wait
She's
a minute.
right
What
in your
time
age
is it?
range.
It's a 5 o'clock game.
5 o'clock game.
Yeah,
That's kind of
That's
late.
Dave's bedtime.
It's
all right?
kinda late.
He's got to take the nap
See?
before he gets up for the day at
that's-
9.
Isn't MASH
Dave,
on at 6
I was
or
trying to
something?
stop you from saying that. It was too late.
I
And then
know.
Espo jumped in real quick with the joke, and I was like, see, I tried to stop it.
No, it's
But-
all right. It's all
Are
right.
brooms allowed in 4 peaks?
Oh, this is a
Oh,
fantastic question. Absolutely,
to ask.
absolutely. Oh, I'll text the
You're
GM
gonna
here
make
right
us
after the
clean up.
game. Yeah, good, fine, because we're going to create a ruckus if we win that thing. But as a reminder to anybody who is watching, if you live local, we are going to be broadcasting live from 4 Peaks Tap Room in Tempe, Arizona. It's on 8th Street, Saul. It's not in Tempe Marketplace or down at Chandler Mall or anywhere. Game 4 is where we'll be. We'll be watching the game there, and then we'll be going live right after. Shout out to Trevor, who is the general manager of 4 Peaks. We did this in Game 4 for the Lakers game, and he did nothing but provide us a stellar experience for not only us, but the Jamsters who joined us. The Fanning the Flames guys joined us for that game, and it was absolutely a fun experience to sit around with your fellow Suns fans. If you can't go to a game, go to 4 Peaks. Make sure you call ahead of time to make your reservations because seating most definitely will be limited. The Suns Jam Session podcast is brought to you by Just Sports. Enter the code SUNSJAM at checkout for any of your online orders and receive 15% off of your purchase. That's right. Let them know that the Suns Jam Session guy sent you. Again, that is promo code SUNSJAM when checking out at shopjustsports.com.
Okay, if somebody,
Don't hate on my editing ability, Saul. Don't hate on my editing ability. I'm just a simple food and beverage manager.
if somebody goes through and can prove that that Voita hit any of the letters in Just Sports when he's fake typing, I will buy his next shirt at Just Sports. All right.
I love it.
Hey, I'm wearing my Just Sports gear right now. I got the Valley hat. I got the Phoenix shirt. They have nothing but fantastic gear there. So Matthew's wearing the same shirt too. Hi, Matthew. How are you? How's the sore throat?
I'm good. Hey, by the way, Aiden watched, so thanks for skipping over me. I honestly think that he did a great job of how to shook.
Wow.
Hey, I gotta be the man
Lizzie's
and step
throwing
right
it.
in there, right?
Getting
Like
pissy.
Logan Paul in
Yeah,
here.
Lissy, pissy, sissy, whatever, dude. I'm ready to go.
Wow. Oh, wow.
I think a twinge of irritation is setting in on.
No,
Sore
I'm good,
throat.
dude. I'm good, dude.
No wonder
It's just my sore
Matthew's
throat.
voice is
Maybe,
deeper.
did you
all
get
right?
maybe he got a new Invisalign and it's a little too tight?
Yeah, that's what it is, man.
It's the fact that he doesn't have an iPhone. Just leave him alone.
This is true.
Oh my god,
He's
I get yelled at
the
all
one
the time
guy.
for that.
Gotta
The
get
What is
one
on
doing
guy
that.
in the chat.
I'm so
Who cares
sick of the
about that?
green group chats.
Oh my god.
Oh
it's
my
so
God.
terrible.
That's an iPhone thing. It's not my fault.
Oh my
It
God.
shouldn't be
Very
wise and green.
elitist.
Yeah.
It's green because you wouldn't understand. When we all have
Yeah.
iPhones, our chat is blue.
All right.
Yeah, you don't
Is
even
this-
know what we're
yeah.
talking.
Is this like an intervention right now? What is going
Yeah,
on?
we're trying to
is.
like live. So real quick, I did want to throw this out there. A couple of you mentioned the team that this team reminds you of from the past. And again, we know that this team is unique. They are their own entity. But if I was to pick a team, I would go with the 2013/14 San Antonio Spurs. That team, had Tim Duncan at the back end of his career, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. It was kind of like their last great run together. And that's the team that actually beat the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals 4-1. And the way that they did it was with defense and crisp passing. They were top in the league in assists, sixth in the league in offense, sixth in the league in defense. And that's what this team really reminds me of. It's a team that you just can't. I mean, even LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh couldn't figure them out because the ball just kept moving. They kept making the right pass. They played effective defense, which led to effective offense. They had a young Kawhi Leonard on that team, and that's who, throughout this run this season, it's a team that I constantly kind of go back to, and I go, you know what? There's no true superstar on this team. It's just the sum is greater than the sum of the beers or something like that.
Yeah, but they had the ultimate neutralizer in Kawhi Leonard defensively, though. You know what I mean? Like Bruce
He's our
Bowen.
Mikal Bridges.
He was okay.
Tim Duncan was okay, but the Miami Heat didn't really have a front core where Chris Bosh was all right. I'm not a big Chris Bosh fan anyway, but LeBron was the dude on that team, and Kawhi was able to slow him down to a degree and get his own.
I always thought it was interesting that LeBron got two other dudes Finals MVP awards because they held him to only 30 points a game and his team lost. It's kind of like giving DeAndre Ayton, and we might want to give him the series MVP award for holding Nikola Jokic to only 32, 20, and 10. Did
JJ Barea get an MVP? Or no?
What? No. I'm talking about Kawhi and then Andre Iguodala got
Iguodala. That was the other one. Okay.
Yeah, and Blaze Megatron says, Voita, dude, we're all thinking about it, but did you have to bring up the Spurs? Yeah, I'll bring up the Spurs. I mean, I hated those teams to death, but, I can still respect them. And now if we are the Spurs right now, I'm all for that, And you go back and you look at that team. Yes, who cares? But you look at that team, Tony Parker, 16 points, Tim Duncan, 15, Kawhi Leonard, 12.8, Manu Ginobili, 12.3, Marco Bellinelli, 11, and Patty Mills, 10, and Danny Green, a young Danny Green, 9, Boris Diaw, 9. I mean, it was just a consummate team. This team's kind of built the same way. I mean, Devin Booker didn't have his best offensive season, but he is more of a superstar than anybody was on that team. But again, that's just my comparison. I thought I'd throw it out there for what it is worth.
But, by the way, are we going to do – we're almost done. And we
Jam start of the game?
Jam star of the game.
Oh, I was ready, ladies and gentlemen. I was ready. This is a reminder, if you are watching along live on the live stream on YouTube, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and you can hit the join button as well, whether you want to become an elite jamster or a flaming baller. Go and you know what? This reminder too. Let us know in the chat who is your jam star of the game. I think there's a couple good candidates tonight. I will say again, I love watching games with my wife. She's like, you know what? These guys on the bench really get a lot of playing time at the end of games. I'm like, yeah, we're kicking the shit out of them. She's like, I mean, it's fantastic.
Nice.
So let's go around the room. We'll start with Saul. Saul, who is your jam star of the game?
I'm going with Chris Paul, baby, because he was just so freaking money in that fourth quarter and at the end of the third. They couldn't. Poor Aaron Gordon. He couldn't figure it out. He couldn't get close enough to CP3 off those switches, and he just torched him and really paced him because there was a little point there where the Nuggets scored like 6-7 straight times down the court, but so did CP3, and it was beautiful to watch.
All right, Dave.
I'm just going to go all in. I'm going to give it to DeAndre Ayton. Yeah, Nikola Jokic got 32, 20, and 10, but it was a really painful one for him. He looked gassed the entire time. He's just so good. And he allowed the Suns not to have to scramble like crazy on defense against Denver. Denver scored a ton against Portland. Yeah, Portland's got a bad defense themselves, but they also scored a ton in the second half of the regular season even after Jamal Murray went down. They're a good team. But a lot of that is because Jokic requires a double triple team. And with Ayton defending him, they didn't need to do that. So he became a one-man band. And that's why I give jam star to Ayton.
Did you just forget the MVP's name?
Yeah.
What's his name?
His 30 and 20 was forgettable tonight.
That guy out there. Yeah, that guy.
All right, Espo, who do
The
you
guy
have?
looks like the grown-up version of that kid who took his shirt off. Yeah, that guy.
That was great, Dave. That was fantastic. My jam star of the game is the Denver fans because they did absolutely nothing to help the Nuggets, and we appreciate it.
Yes.
Thanks for selling your
worried
seats.
about those fans. That was terrible.
They also kept them quite a bit away from the court. Like they all started like 20 rows up. And that makes a difference too. So
it actually does. I agree with you on that.
So
right,
game
Matt-
ops in Denver and the fans, you get the jam star of the game.
Yeah, thanks for selling all your seats to
That's a
Suns
good
fans.
one,
It was fantastic. All right, Matthew, who do you have?
I'll give it to the other guy, Devin Booker, tonight, just taking over the game. I really think he had a few mistakes here and there, but overall, man, he's just a killer in these playoff games. He just goes up a notch every game he is playing. I mean, Espo said earlier we're gonna have a better Booker game maybe next game, but this is epic Booker right now, so I'm gonna have to give it to him.
And I think I'll just kind of blend a couple of your answers together and say the Suns backcourt, 55 points. The Nuggets backcourt, a total of 11 points from the starters. I mean, that right there, we knew coming into this series that was an advantage. Tonight was the first night where it was truly executed effectively to the point where they couldn't get momentum. Chris Paul would not let them get momentum in the second half. Devin Booker came out hot and scored 11 points in the first half. When that happens, this team is very hard to beat because we can play defense. So, on that note, we'll take a look. Game 4 again is upcoming. Is there any adjustments? Again, I'm going to go back to where I started. I really think there's one adjustment that Mike Malone should try out, and that's sit MPJ. And you guys are saying, like, the only way they have a chance to win is for him to score points. Well, he's not going to do it against our first team because our first team is working him on defense. So maybe you put him out there with the second team unit, let him get some momentum going, and maybe he can score some points.
I think that's just MPJ, though. I think MPJ is just missing shots. I don't think there's really a defense out there that can stop him when he's hot. That's why he's starting the game, to get those shots up to see if he can get in rhythm. So they'd be stupid to set him on the bench.
But maybe he could get some rhythm.
30, 40 points a night. So he'd have to outscore that 30, 40 points for them to win the game.
Yeah. And that means you're starting who? Will Barton instead? And
yes.
Okay, you do that. That doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get MPJ's points anyway. MPJ is your best overall chance to win any of these games. So you got to start.
Should
Offensively,
MPJ
yes, but
be
defensively, no.
the jam star of the game?
He could be. I mean, I seriously.
I got to give a shout out to Ryan Thorberg in the chat. Yeah.
Where is that at?
Michael Porter's son's MVP.
Well, he has been this entire series. He's been absolutely cooked, and the Suns have targeted him. Austin Rivers plus MPJ, if you target them on offense, you're going to win because they are not very good at they lack lateral quickness, especially MPJ. When he was guarding Devin Booker, the best play of the game to me was when Devin Booker cooked him.
Man.
He cooked him. MPJ came walking up with a lurch.
We were watching from behind. It was great. We saw the entire angle.
Yeah, and he just ISO'd him out, cooked him, went right by him. And it was just, I mean, you knew right then. It's like you're not going to he's not going to be able to play defense against this guy, man. I mean, he's completely outclassed. He is worthy of the 15th overall pick because Mikal Bridges has been better in this series, as has DeAndre Ayton.
I just feel like they may have used their Will Barton shot tonight. He was supposed to have a 16-minute restriction. I think he finished closer to 30. If he's still hurting, you may have that may have been Michael Malone going, I know this is the series here, so I'm just going to run him. And I don't know how much he'll have left in the tank. I don't know that he can start and play major minutes in place of MPJ for that Denver team. For the Suns, Monty Williams just needs to walk in there and say one of his famous Montyisms: "Don't get happy on the farm. Go out there and just take care of business. Play your game. You've seen what it's done in the first 3 in this series. Take care of business. Let's not even worry about going home until game 1 of the Western Conference, or maybe game 1 of the Western Conference Finals."
Can we give a shout out? Because Suns targeted Anthony Davis in the first round too when his groin was injured. Can we give a shout out to the Suns just being assholes and just we're going after the dude who can't do anything on defense. We are targeting relentlessly. A lot of teams won't target an injured player. Now the Lakers went after CP3's shoulder, but he didn't have any issues with.
In the playoffs, they won't target him.
What's that?
In the playoffs, you don't think they would target him?
I thought the Suns were incredibly relentless targeting Michael Porter Jr. And then in the opening minutes of that game, what is it? Game 6, I think it was. Anthony Davis tried to come out. It was relentless, and a lot of times NBA teams won't do enough targeting of a person who really is no match. I just thought that was it was fun to be on this side of it.
I mean, the Suns listen to their sensei, and they're sweeping the leg. Period.
They are.
That's exactly what they're trying to do.
Mercy.
Cobra Kai.
Literally
Cobra Kai, baby.
Dave may have just inadvertently come up with a nickname for this team. They could be the Black Hole Suns.
Black Hole Suns.
I think that could be another name for the asshole. If you're gonna look, I'll donate the swears. For
yeah,
kids,
maybe
right?
not use that one.
Yeah.
Cobra Kai. We'll just call it. Let's go Cobra Kai on
this. Yeah, call him Cobra Kai. Sweep the leg. And that's what they need to do in game 4. No mercy. Put a fork in Denver. It's done. I don't want a game 5. I know Flex from Jersey's supposed to come out here for game 5. You know what? He can come out here for game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Okay, for all I care. Looking forward to seeing him then. But again, this team has continued to impress. They're not just meeting our expectations, they're exceeding them. So I think on that note, we've hit the hour mark, so it's time to kind of wrap things up. Just a reminder to everybody who is watching along live in the chat, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and smash that like button while you're here. You can become an Elite Jamster or a Flaming Baller by clicking the join button or following the link in the description, and feel free to donate to the show via the super chat. We really appreciate everybody who did tonight. Subscribe, rate, and review via the Bright Side of the Sun podcast network for all your favorite Phoenix Suns content. And you can follow the show on Twitter at Suns Jam and at Suns Solar Panel. You can follow me on Twitter at Darth Voita. You can follow Dave on Twitter
at Dave King NBA.
You can follow Matthew on Twitter
at Matthew Lissy.
You can follow Espo on Twitter
at Espo, and join us in 9 hours and 20 minutes on the solar panel.
Oh, tomorrow's Saturday?
We're going live.
Doing one tomorrow morning?
Yeah, that's right. We're going live tomorrow.
Get it. And Espo, can you tell
us after a few hours, we got to talk a lot more about this.
Espo, can you tell us where we can follow Saul Bookman?
Oh, you can follow Saul at Saul_Bookman. The underscore is there because Devin Booker crossed up the Saul and the Bookman fell backwards. Boom! Good night,
I love
people.
it. How do you always come up with these? You're so good at it.
My brain's weird.
Yeah, it does operate in different ways.
That was great.
So, it was fantastic. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for joining us. We truly appreciate it. We'll see you coming live on Sunday, coming from Four Peaks in Tempe. Until then, Matthew,
go home and love your family.
Oh, wow.
Somebody go over and love Matthew, please.
Somebody love me, please.
A hug or something.
Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic evening.
I want to hear you scream. Mug the nugs, my mug the nug. Mug the nugs, my mug the nug. Yeah. Mug the nugs, my mug the nug. Mug the nugs, my mug the nug. Yeah. Mug the nugs, my mug the nug. Mug the nugs, my